The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Fixated Podcast. I am your host, Mike Azalina, and I am joined by a guy who is on the scene today at Lincoln Financial Field. Regzy, tightened up a little bit today.
It was one of those, we've all been at those baseball games where everything's a little too quiet. It's too quiet. And you're just kind of waiting for that other shoe to drop. Luckily, we got out of there before that sort of last series to try and beat the traffic since I was there with my son. So we were listening to it on the radio. I haven't listened to Merrill and Mike in a while, so that was nice to listen to them for a little bit on the drive home. But after that third down and that fourth down at starting out of their end zone, it was, I was like, man, this is going to really suck if we lose this one. It's going to really suck if we lose this one.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into it, but that Panthers team is not the same Panthers team that we both picked as our 17-point game back in August. It's a Panthers team that has been much improved, a Panthers team that's playing with confidence, a Panthers team that seems to have taken everybody to the absolute length over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So that did not change just because the Eagles are playing really good football. And there were definitely some things that you could see they were missing today, but we'll get into that. Was this your first game ever?
No, I had been to a preseason game many, many, many years ago.
Okay.
I went to one in the Meadowlands. My uncle took me to an Eagles-Giants game in the Meadowlands. Again, probably college time.
Sure.
And then after college, Angela bought me Eagles-Cowboys tickets when they beat them by 40 at that one home game. B-Doc was still there. That was a great one. That was a lot of fun. But, so no, not my first one. My son's first one. Like I had said previously, he had asked to go to a football game for his birthday, and he turned 10. So we figured, he'd hopefully be a little bit more mature and ready to handle a football game. And yeah, he realized towards the end there that this isn't like Phillies games. This isn't like our cushy Phillies games that we go to all the time. This is a different beast. This Lincoln Financial Field.
Well, I mean, it's one of those things where you want them to experience what it's like to be at a football game, but people are there at 5 a.m. You get eight chances to tailgate an Eagles game, and people take full advantage of those chances, Regs. Full on advantage.
Yeah, it was
of those games.
The fourth quarter was something. It was something.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you guys got a chance to do it. I'm glad that it was a win, and
yes.
he can always say that that he saw them win. So
yeah, he's pumped for his Kelly Green Saquon Barkley jersey that he's got now that he can wear to school on Purple Friday down here. And show a little
especially
green.
because they won.
That's right.
Especially because they won. So beat them a couple weeks ago. So we've got, we're gonna talk a little bit about the winter meeting starting basically tonight. There's a lot going on around Juan Soto this evening, and there are two teams who have gone over the $700 million mark. It sounds like the Mets might have even eclipsed the $800 million mark, which that's, John Middleton likes to throw around the term stupid money. That's just over the top stupid money if they're going to pay him over $800 million. If they do, I don't think there's I don't think anybody's getting close to that, Regs. I don't think anybody's getting close to 800 million.
Do you think he's just looking for the most money though?
Well, I think if the Yankees are close, like within 40, 50 million at that high of a number, I feel like he's going back to the Bronx. Because once you get to that point, what's that last 40, 50 million dollars? Once you've hit 750 million, what are we talking about anymore? It sounds like it's all coming to a head, if not late tonight, tomorrow morning. The winter meetings are, I think they're going to be very busy. There's already been more movement in free agency to this point than I can remember the last few years. With certain guys already off the market. Tyler O'Neill's off the market. Willy Adames is already off the market. Sounds like Soto's close to being off the market. So I think there's going to be some movement early and often in this week. And it starts with Juan Soto. Like he's sort of the clog that's keeping the drain from flowing. And look, I'll be honest with you, Regs. When we were in the 500s, 600s, like low 600s, I was perfectly okay with the Phillies being involved. I am more than okay with them not touching this number. This is insane. It's asinine money. It's like because he's not opting out of that. Why would he opt out of that?
Yeah.
You're going to owe this guy a ton of money when he's 44 years old.
Yeah, not at that amount.
Or
he's not opting out.
No. Why would you?
It doesn't make logical sense. You could sort of understand the Ohtani contract. This is a guy that you're paying to be possibly your best hitter and pitcher at the same time. So you could understand him making the 700 because you're like, okay, you're paying a Trey Turner, $300 million contract, and then you're paying a top starting pitcher contract on top of it. So it made sense for Ohtani. We all know how good Juan Soto is. He's not worth this much. I don't care how old he is. Unless he was literally 21 years old and had already done the things he's done, this isn't worth it. Yeah. It's not worth it. Like maybe I was at the 400 range. If you're going to say Trey Turner and Bryce Harper make, 300, a little bit over 300. If you're going to pay Juan Soto 400, 450, that makes perfect sense to me because of the age that he's coming into this contract.
Right.
That makes perfect sense. This makes no sense. It makes no sense. I know how good he is. I understand. He's not worth what Shohei Ohtani is worth. He's not. He's just not. And to be $100 million maybe over Shohei Ohtani, just give me a break. Give me a break.
And this is coming down to the two New York teams. It's the Mets or the Yankees at this point. I'd be shocked if he's anywhere else. But you're right. At the number it's at, if you're either of these teams at the onset, you're like, all right, this is cool. Awesome, we got Juan Soto. But he's not opting out of this. So in 5-6 years, when he's 32, 33, he's going to be making more no, there's no one coming after him that's getting this number.
Yeah.
It's an absurd number. It's almost to the point where I feel like it's made up. And when the number comes in, we're going to be like, all right, okay, I can get on board with 620. Even that's ridiculous. Consider for a moment that what he's going to make is going to double Bryce Harper's number.
Yeah.
think about that. You know, I often consider how fortunate we are to have gotten Bryce at the number we got him with no opt-outs. Um, because he's got to look at some of these numbers and just think, man, oh man, um, what could have been for me, right? Like, but at the end of the day, Juan Soto will be somewhere before the end of tomorrow, is my assumption. I think probably early on tomorrow we'll know. If we don't know when we go to bed tonight.
Yeah.
And then let the games begin, because there will be many other free agents out there. The Phillies probably have a few things sort of floating around already.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when we had Ruben on a couple of years back, he had talked about you kind of go in with frameworks to this week, and then all of a sudden you're doing things on napkins, and you know,
Right.
and one thing leads to another. So
Yeah. By the way, it's on our YouTube page. Go check out the episode.
oh yeah, great
Just
episode.
interviewed the former GM of the Philadelphia Phillies. No big deal.
Yeah, it was a fantastic interview. Like really fun to talk to him, and kind of hear his, just his experience. And
Yeah, I was about to say
it was around this time, wasn't
Oh
it?
yeah, it was like a week before the winter meeting started. And again,
Yeah.
where are you going to hear from somebody whose job was to attend them and make deals? It was great.
Yep. Well, this is where they signed Zach Wheeler at the winter meetings. So.
Someone reposted, I think it was Phillies Tailgate, reposted that, that Wheeler contract. And some scrub on some show was saying that he'll never be better than number 2 or 3. And it was ridiculous to pay him that much because he's not an ace.
And here we are.
Let me ask you a question. Because we know the Soto thing. There was a report that Bregman is looking for $200 million. Like, I know we went into this offseason, the Phillies talked about we're open to everything. Things are going to change. We're open to trading good for good, maybe to mix things up and kind of change what's been going on. The prices for some of these guys are starting to get to the point of ridiculous. Has it reached the point where we're like, okay, we still have, control of Bohm for 2 years, right? Bryson Stott, we still have years of control. Ranger Suarez, guys like that. Like, not to say that if the right trade came along, we wouldn't be open to moving them. But at some point, when you think about moving them, you then hopefully in the trade, maybe you're probably not replacing their position 1 for 1, right? You're trading it to get better at a different position. Then you have to go figure out that position. So let's just use Bowman as an example. We've heard some things about the White Sox trades, right? They rejected, that Bohm and Crawford would be enough for Crochet. And right, let's just say it happens, right? Whatever amalgamation of that trade happens and Crochet comes back and Bohm goes. And now we're looking at third base. Are the Phillies like putting themselves in a worse position like for the future by now having to pay somebody? Like, I don't even know. I know we had talked about Jonathan India. He's obviously not there anymore. We had talked about Ha-Sung Kim, probably not happening. I'm not sure who they put there now with the money that's being thrown around that makes it worth it. I get it if you're getting a guy like Crochet, like the trade is worth it. I understand that part of it. But some of the numbers that are happening are just like, why put your team in that kind of a bind for a player that's not worth it? It reminds me of these NBA contracts. Every time the cap goes up, there's a dozen guys who get paid $20-25 million a year who aren't worth 12. You see it in the NBA all the time. And I just don't know. I don't know at what point it becomes detrimental to like your team and the future of your team, especially with the Phillies when we have a sort of group of guys coming and we want to still have a competitive team. I don't know. I just something that just occurred to me, like when that Bregman news came out, it was just like $200 million. It's just crazy.
Yeah, so if your question is like, I think what I heard is when do you push pause on paying that amount of money when you already have guys in house, right? Like that's what I'm understanding the question to be.
Yeah, which I understand who are maybe frustrating or you have some issues with, but in terms of like your ability financially, especially with the Phillies who have
Mhm.
money coming off the books, as you point out very well on a lot of these things. Just at what point does it become like, is it worth it to sign someone for that much over? I mean, this is just me, what I think they're worth, or maybe what you think they're worth.
Well, seeing the Adamas contract makes it very clear that Bregman's going to get over 200 million.
Isn't that
And
nuts?
it is. It's not. I mean, it's the market. That's the baseball free agent market right now, and it's not a contract I'm interested in. To me, if Bohm's getting moved, if he's getting moved, they're not going to look to replace Bohm's offense
Yeah,
at third base. They're going to look to replace his offense in left field, and the idea behind a Bohm move, like we've talked about on the show, is that they don't there's not they don't have anybody else tradable. The Bohm is a position where they have guys coming. I understand Alec Bohm was an all-star, and there might be another level to Alec Bohm, but there's there's when there's smoke, there's fire to this sort of a thing. He's been tied to all of their trade rumors.
yeah, yeah,
So I think for the Phillies, to your point and to your question, it's something that they have to do because they just simply can't run out the same nine.
yeah,
And when you look at the team in totality, you're not going to trade the catcher with 1 year left. As a matter of fact, Bohm might bring you a young catcher in a deal. You're not trading the first baseman. You're not trading the shortstop. You're not trading the DH. You're not trading the right fielder. You don't have a left fielder. You could trade the center fielder, but they seem to really like him. You could trade the second baseman, but I think they really like him. So when you're looking at the lineup, if you're trying to add a second piece to this, then it's probably coming from a Bohm move. In terms of free agency, they're clearly staying away from that high price. At least what we're looking at from a infield perspective. That Tyler O'Neill contract gives me some hope that the outfield market is doable. Obviously, we're going to see the other side of that. Like we're going to see the polar opposite with the Juan Soto deal. Like we're going to go from 3 years 50 million to
yeah.
15 years 750 million. But I'm assuming the Teoscar Hernandez, Santander markets will sit somewhere nicely in that like 150 range, which I think for the Phillies is very doable if they choose to go the free agent route. I tend to think they're going to trade for an outfielder, but if they do want to dip their toe into that free agent market, it'll be there. But your question's fair, Regs. It's not a buyer's market right now, and the Phillies have the second highest payroll in baseball,
Hmm.
but they're not looking to add more high-priced older free agents. They're trying to get younger in different positions, especially in the rotation. So, we'll see. I mean, this week is gonna tell us a lot about what their plan is. I do anticipate them coming home with 2 or 3 new well, 2 or 3 players. I don't want to say new, but they've already been in on a couple of guys who have signed elsewhere. Clay Holmes, who signed to be a starter in New York, they were in on him. So they're clear, and they were in on him as a reliever. So we've known they're in that right-handed market. Dombrowski talked about that they're only looking for one reliever,
Yeah.
which is baffling to me.
Mm-hmm.
But let's jump into that. Let's have a conversation about the winter meetings, knowing that it's not going to be Juan Soto. Regz and I just want to quickly go back and forth and say, here are 3 things that we'd like to see happen this week from a Phillies perspective. And they don't have to be specific players. I could sit here and say that I'd like them to trade for a pitcher or sign a reliever. I think we've already done what our offseason to look like. So I just want to talk about if we could leave this week with 3 additions. Where would they come from? What would they be? Trades, free agency, and what positions? So, Regz, I'm gonna let you start, and I'm gonna sort of play off of you.
Okay.
Let's start with your first one. It doesn't have to be your number one need. You can rank them if you choose, but I wasn't going to. So,
just to start off, they need another arm in the bullpen.
Sure.
Again, if they can bring back Jeff Hoffman at a reasonable number, I'm all in. I think I don't take that playoff performance to who he is. And if you bring him back to a bullpen that already has Kerkering, you hope that, you got Strom still. You hope that Alvarado can find, a little bit more, some form coming back. It was a weird year for him with the personal issues. And, he started out the season as literally unhittable. He was unhittable for 2 months to start the season. I just think if you have those 4, and then I think if you have those 4, I think it tempts them enough to go find a true closer. I really do. I think if you have those 4 guys, I'm hoping it would tempt them to trade for a true closer. Like I know the Cardinals say they're probably not trading Helsley. Devin Williams hasn't gone anywhere yet. I think there were some talks about the Astros and oh God, what's his name? The setup guy for them.
Wrestler.
Thank you. Yes. Again, a guy who they got Hader, so he turned into a setup man, but was their closer for a decent amount of time. I think the bullpen is a little lacking right now without, say what you will about, Estevez, but I think without Hoffman, there's a real hole there. And they absolutely need another true power arm, a guy that just can come in and get people out in that bullpen. Because for what it is, Alvarado sometimes just can't find the strike zone. Strom, for as good as he is hittable. He's not 99, right? He's a good pitcher. I don't take anything away from him. He's a great pitcher, but he's not like this put out guy. And Kerkering, for as much as I think he did improve this year, I was really happy with his progress this season. You just need another one of those fire hose guys. And Hoffman, when he came in, just always got out of any situation he was in. So I'm hopeful that, again, I'm not saying it has to be Jeff Hoffman. I just think they need to add another arm to that bullpen.
Yeah. And maybe I'll get there. I don't know that that's one of my 3 or not, but I'll tell you this. I'm going to go specific here. We've talked a lot about outfielders on this show. I think in all of my off seasons, I've added an outfielder. That guy has been Juan Soto, but I think we can safely assume
it will not be Juan Soto.
The case. Yeah. So I have an interesting one for you that I believe can be had via trade and because he comes with money and what I believe to be pretty affordable for the Phils. Maybe the Cubs would take a little bit off the contract, but I'm really interested in Seiya Suzuki, who has become available
Yeah.
over the last few days. I think he fits multiple needs for them. The first being he does not strike out a lot. The second being he's a really good defender. He can slide right. He's a right-handed hitter, makes good contact. If you're looking to trade Alec Bohm, then he nicely picks up that offense. He doesn't hit for a ton of power, but makes a ton of contact. And last but not least, if you really want to play in this Japanese market, get a dude over here.
Yeah, you got to get somebody.
Get a dude over here. I think, he's not like the all-star, he's not the star that's going to change everything for you, but he's the type of player that they need. He's like that role player that they've talked about, manageable contract at $15-16 million. So I would really like for them to leave this week with Seiya Suzuki, if at all possible. Stick him in the outfield and let him, let him play. I think he could do some good things for this lineup and lengthen it quite a bit with his ability to make contact and not chase.
Yeah, yes, why not? Certainly nothing
It's
wrong
not
with
going to
that.
cost you what it's going to cost you for Tucker.
No, what's his contract right now? What were they saying it was?
Suzuki's got 2 years with like 34 million left.
And he's in the 94th percentile for chase percentage.
Correct.
Yeah, and 91
I don't
for
think
hard hit.
What about whiff?
50th, right in the middle. But 18% K. Like 18th percentile, which is huge, and 80% walk, or 80th percentile for walk. So
wait, is his K blue?
K percentage, yeah.
Oh, it's blue. That's not good.
Oh, that's high. You mean it's the opposite?
Yeah.
I was thinking it was good. He did strike out.
That means he's in the bottom.
It's
in the bottom percentile.
Yeah, I was looking at Baseball Reference. I was like, that seems like a lot of strikeouts.
160, that I don't love.
160 last year.
It's funny. That means he swings and misses in the zone.
Yeah.
I don't love that, but I mean,
I hear you though. Like it's not. You're right. I think it's
either that or you're paying top money for someone else to come in and do it because Hernandez and Santander are going to do it.
Oh my God, Heyman!
What?
Juan Soto to the Mets, $765 million for 15 years. Jesus Christ!
Oh my God! I got it. I mean, I don't even know what to say.
Yeah, Passon just said it.
That's obscene. That's obscene.
He's a fucking Met.
I mean, look, man, we were never touching that.
Oh no, I'm not worried about that. I just didn't want him to be on the Mets. I really didn't.
I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know how you keep him away from that number. Wow.
Good Lord.
Wow. I don't even know how to process that.
51 million.
I mean, look, he's a Met, right? What are you going to say? They still have so many holes on that team.
I know.
Like throwing almost $800 million at one guy doesn't change that.
That's wild.
It's a number.
Largest contract in sports history. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail.
No, you're good.
The conversation, but I kept refreshing. Holy Jesus. includes no deferred money, and has escalators that can reach above $800 million.
I mean, someone just texted me, that's a tough lineup. And I said, is it? Like after their top three, is it?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is what it is, man. It's,
Wow.
The Phillies gotta, you gotta punch back.
Yeah.
Like the Mets they're gonna go get guys. It's what they do. It's what Steve Cohen does. So if you're serious about winning and defending your division championship, you can sit there and say, well, we've already got stars, or you can go add on your roster. Like, can't worry about what the Mets do.
Yep. All right. Am I on the next
Can't
one?
worry about the Mets. You are.
Okay. You're going to sense a theme in mine, thinking that there's not, and the theme is that I'm not sure who offensively they can get that changes a lot. So my next thing is go get a starter that makes this rotation the best in baseball. If that's a Crochet, great. If it's, again, maybe a number 3 that slots in behind Wheeler and Nola, but just pushes Ranger and, Sanchez down a peg. The starting pitching was fantastic this year and was fantastic in the playoffs. The starting pitching was not the issue and was not the reason we lost playoff games. I understand that we want to try to address the offensive side. I don't know where that's coming from, so I'm going all in on just being the best rotation in baseball. And maybe a trade comes around in the middle of the season, right before the trade deadline. Something happens with the offense, whatever it might be, happens later. But for right now, just go create the greatest rotation in baseball and let them lead you to as far as they'll take you.
Yeah. That was actually my second piece as well. Like, I love what they have rotation wise already. Like, I feel like they're very strong in the rotation, and it's, but for me, it's about Soto was the one thing. Now, what's the next thing? And I think that you can work with the Mariners on getting a deal done to bring one of those two guys over, or flipping guys from there, because they need a bat. And so I'm good. I'm good either. There are some free agent arms that are out there, but I don't believe the Phillies are going to add a free agent arm at the top end of the free agent market. You might see them add from another level of the free agent market. But I do believe one or two arms are coming to Philly, and I'd be perfectly fine if one of them came this week via trade.
Yeah.
Whether it be a Crochet or one of the dudes from Seattle. So that was my second one for sure. The first one is clearly like get the bat in the outfield. The second one is get the arm to make a super rotation, so that doesn't matter if Juan Soto is a Met, because Juan Soto is going to be facing one of our 5 ridiculous arms whenever he faces us. So, all right, what's your last one?
My last one is, it's something I've mentioned before. Anything to make this lineup more annoying. I don't care what position it is. I don't care. Trade, free agent, whatever. This lineup has to be more annoying.
Yeah.
It just has to get more annoying. However it happens, whoever it is, you just have to find guys that pitchers, when they see them come up a third time, they're just like, God, I don't want to throw 12 pitches to this guy again.
Yeah.
That's what I want. That's what I hope then turns into a contagion. That's what I hope.
I gotta tell you, if what I just read from Heyman is true, what a selfish douche
Yankees bid
Juan Soto is.
$760 million for an extra year. Yeah.
Yeah, what a selfish asshole he is.
$5 million.
Like you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
If that's legit, what a selfish asshole he is. Wow. That's crazy. Wow. So my last is trading Alec Bohm. I think they have to.
Yeah.
And I think they have to because at this point I don't know if there's any coming back from everything, all the damage that's been done. They got to trade him this week. I don't see any way around it.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's gonna be a blast. I think if it doesn't motivate the Phillies to be more aggressive toward this offseason that Juan Soto's now a Met.
So to say he's in your damn division.
Then I don't really know what to say. Like if this isn't gonna do it. Now I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier. I feel like I don't want to get off entirely. I do want to say we know what the Mets did last year. We know what they were able to do. But like, is Pete Alonso coming back at the number he wants after this contract?
Yeah.
If they can bring him back at the number he wants, like then Steve Cohen it's just we've got the East Coast version of the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Right. But they're going to be trying to figure out first base. Second base was played by a 40-year-old. Right.
Who had his best season in a decade?
Yep. Nimmo was atrocious. The catcher was atrocious. Center field was two guys, flip-flopping. So essentially, like, they're really good at three positions. When Lindor's healthy.
How much longer is he signed for them?
Lindor's there for a while.
Yeah.
But he's also older.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also older. Vientos is very good, but I'll be curious to see what that looks like. And obviously now with Soto.
And they just lost one of their starters.
Severino.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like that pitching machine though. They're going to add guys and dudes will be good for them. Because they've kind of figured that out. They just, don't sign big arms but I'll be curious to see how they fill out the rest of the roster. Cause as of now, I don't know what the rest of the roster even is.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see. One player doesn't win you, doesn't win you championships.
Yeah.
So
the fact that the Yankees were there is wild.
I just don't understand. That blows my mind.
That's crazy.
If that was their offer, I mean, I guess some of it is like there was no deferred money and he can get to 800. But even with that, like they were 40 million off. Like, come on. Wow. What a joke that is, man. Holy crap. That's pathetic. Anyway.
What did I just see? And there's like a 75, what was it? What's the signing bonus? $75 million signing bonus.
No, I mean, look, Cohen.
Yep, when you're that rich, right?
Yep. He does have an opt-out after his 5th season.
Interesting.
Somehow undervalued after the 2029 season. I don't know what that means.
Not sure how you can have the richest contract in sports history and feel undervalued, even in 5 years.
Well, the year is 2029. Juan Soto has not swung a baseball bat in 4.5 years. The Mets have raised their offer to 27 years, $1.65 billion. My God. Well,
Yeah.
your move, John.
Yeah. Someone was like, yeah, Juan Soto's going to be in the
move.
NL East till 2040.
Listen.
Goodness gracious.
Well, let's talk about the football team.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm just gonna
two more.
I'm just gonna drink a lot more after we're done now.
I mean, it is what it is, buddy. I know you're upset. I know a lot of people are upset. I'm just not upset. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
We knew this was a chance. This was always in the purview that it was possible. And the Phillies are still a really good baseball team. I actually still believe they're better than the Mets. I think the Mets were just so freaking hot last year that it was just a bad time to play them. Adding Juan Soto doesn't automatically make the Mets better than the Phillies. It just doesn't. Plain and simple. Doesn't make them absolutely better than the Phillies. Phillies are still better in totality as of right now. Better rotation, better lineup top to bottom. So we'll see the way the rest of the offseason plays out, though.
The domino has fallen. So here we go.
So tomorrow means let's roll.
I was about to say, we need to post
maybe tonight.
That Joker meme, right? Here we go.
And we're off. Okay, so Eagles find a way to win their 9th in a row. They last week a business trip victory
down to my neck of the woods.
Yep, to Baltimore. Just a fantastic win. Defense was phenomenal. Derrick Henry did literally nothing. Lamar left a lot of plays out there, for sure. But the Eagles did what they had to do. You know, you don't control what other players do in every facet of every play of every game. And when they needed to, they made the plays. This week, you know, if we would have recorded, and this is not a hindsight thing, this is a thing I've been saying to people throughout the week. And then I said to you via text today, this game was never going to be easy. I know people wanted it to be easy. I know Vegas had it at 12. But this game was never going to be easy. The Panthers have been playing teams tough for a month now. And just because the Eagles, now I do believe the Eagles had a little bit of a play down to you mentality. I think they expected to show up and win because they'd been winning so often. I think it was a good wake-up call for them, and they made plays when they needed to. But I think a few things from today. First and foremost, congrats to Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Single season record holder in his first year as
in 13 games.
We're going to get into the bye conversations and giving guys days off and all that stuff toward the end of this conversation. But good on him. Played really well. Quinyon played really well. Jalen Carter made some ridiculous plays today. They were getting good pressure at times. Bryce Young did a fantastic job of manipulating the pocket, making guys miss when they had pressure. Chuba Hubbard, kudos to him, ran hard. Some reason he was more difficult to tackle than Derrick Henry was last week. Big things from a negative perspective that I take away this week. One being, this was the first bad Cooper DeJean game.
Yes.
I'm not concerned. I think some of this is like Adam Thielen's really good when he's healthy and a little bit of veteran stuff. Like, because when you think back, Coop was fine against Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Who's a very good receiver. I just think today was a little Cooper, like Adam Thielen will play very physical. And I think there were a couple times
there were plenty of push-offs and
where he pushed Coop around a little bit.
Yep.
So Cooper DeJean, you know, and the other part of this, a concern that's not a real concern, sort of like the Cooper DeJean thing, was the amount of missed tackles by
Yeah.
this Eagles team.
Yeah.
It felt like I was watching weeks 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Now they shorted up in the second half. It was very different. Tale of two halves with the tackling. But early in the game, my gosh, they were whiffing in the backfield, and it was bad. And part of me was like, man, if Reed were here, I wonder what that would look like, because he's such a sure tackler.
I mean,
couple of plays that I think he probably makes.
Just from being there, it was a lot of missed tackles by a lot of guys before Reed would even be there. Like, it was a lot of missed tackles by linemen and even the linebackers. Like, Reed might have made some plays once he got there, and maybe him, because he comes up on those run plays so well, maybe could have made a few tackles. But even like you said, Coop in the flat, like, missed some tackles, which he hasn't done all season since he's been in. It was very evident being there, like, and watching, they just got chunked like 6 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards, 7 yards. Like, the Eagles were not doing a lot to stop that run game and make it difficult for Hubbard. He was getting, a very fair amount of yards on every play, like Saquon-esque yards on every play. For a lot of that game. And I think to the Cooper part, it was not even watching, being there and watching. He was being fooled by Thielen. This feels like a game where he played a lot more man coverage on Thielen than I've seen him have to play. I don't know if that was part of the game plan, but he got a little exposed in man-to-man coverage in the routes Thielen was running. Like you said, at the top of the route, Thielen would get very physical on his break, and Coop was not ready for it. And look, we talk about all this. This guy's a rookie. They've been playing, like, him and Quinn have been playing so far above expectation for rookie cornerbacks that I think, like, I don't think Cooper DeJean is cooked. It's just after they've been playing so well, it's very obvious when, they have a bad day. They're rookies. And Thielen was pulling out every trick in the book, man, to get open. And he was.
Yeah. And he did.
Yeah.
And that's it. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you tip your cap. That's a veteran receiver. But I'm not super worried there. But the thing I'm not worried about either of those pieces on the defense, because the tackling will be fine next week, and I'm sure Coop will be fine next week. But the thing that continues to not go well consistently is the passing game.
Yes.
And I'm the first one, and I've said it to multiple people today. I am a big Jalen Hurts defender. Jalen Hurts is my number one guy. Like, I will go to bat for him in every conversation. Today was one of the worst Jalen Hurts games I've ever. I don't need to watch the film.
Yeah.
There, you'll hear me say on the show or in text message, I'm gonna have to watch the film. I don't have to watch it tonight. I don't have to watch it tomorrow. I saw it real time. I don't know what was going on with him today. He looked planet today. Decisions that he wasn't making, reads he wasn't hitting. He made some big plays and big moments.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because, like, when they were down, he tended to play at his best, and that seems to be Jalen. Regz, I think the way that I'm looking at it right now is that when they're winning or it's tight, Jalen's playing that way. He's playing not to turn over the ball.
Yeah.
He's almost gone from too
risky,
reckless, to too conservative.
Yeah.
And he's not ripping it.
Yeah.
Like there was a play, and I don't remember exactly. You're gonna have to forgive me, but like Mark Sanchez pointed it out, like on the broadcast. If he rips it when he hits his back foot, he's gonna get Brown open.
Mm-hmm.
But he waits a fraction of a second too long, doesn't throw it. Corner gets in his hip. And that's it. That's the end of the play. He's got nowhere else to go with the ball.
Yeah.
It was a bad Jalen game. One of the worst I've seen. That wasn't a Bucks game because we know what Bucks games look like for him. But I'm very concerned about this passing game right now. And to hear AJ Brown after the game say, what he said, and we're not going to do the whole thing. We're not going to go, oh, is AJ okay? Team okay? Are they going to be okay? Is he a diva? No, he wants the ball because he's open.
Yeah.
Like we've heard him say he doesn't care if he's getting the ball when they're winning and things are working in the run game. But there were 3 or 4 plays today where AJ was wide open and Jalen didn't throw him the ball because he's not seeing the field. And I don't know what that is, but it is a genuine concern because at some point they're going to have to throw the ball to win. They were really close to having to do that today.
Yeah.
One more thing, and then I want you to talk about both. And this one I'm not going to take a lot of time with. But they have a genuine kicking problem too.
Yeah.
Now you can go.
So, yeah, the passing, I think the PHLY guys explained this really well. Fran said that this is his longest time he took to throw the ball and his least amount of yards per completion. And when you add in holding onto the ball too long and not like trying to push it, it's awful. Like it's just the worst. And then Bo put it well, saying that, look, he agreed with you. A.J. Brown is not being a diva. A.J. Brown knows that when he gets the ball a lot, the Eagles win. That's why he's upset. He's not he's not complaining about catching the ball just to catch the ball to pad his own stats. He knows that when he is targeted and when he gets the ball a lot, the Eagles offense is that much better and they win that much more often. Their best drive of the game was when they hit A.J. Brown 3 times. And it ended in a Devontae Smith touchdown, which A.J. was also open on. You have these guys for a reason, and you're exactly right. There's something going on with Jalen that is making him hesitant to just let the ball go. Just watch the Rams-Bills game tonight. Neither of those guys is afraid to just let that sucker rip. That throw that Stafford had to Cooper Kupp in the end zone, there are 2 Bills defenders within 10 feet of Cooper Kupp. And Stafford's like, nope, if I rip this right where I need to, my guy's going to make the catch. And he did for a touchdown. Josh Allen's the same way. I am going to rip this thing, and my guy's going to get it or not. And there might not be 2 better guys that you could just rip it to in the entire NFL than A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. And Jalen just, I don't know. It's causing the passing game to be simplified down to its base, which makes it, there's no innovation. There's no getting guys open. It's just so basic because Jalen is in some place. He's in some weird place that he doesn't have the confidence to, like you said, get on that back foot and just boom. And it's really tough because he does make some good plays, right? That 3rd down where he breaks out of 2 guys and runs for 30 yards. He has this special ability to do that. I'm just not sure why we're seeing regression's maybe a strong word because we've seen him this season be able to do this. He's had games where he's had that confidence and he's just been able to just be in the flow and he's making great throws and he's making good reads. There's just such a lack of consistency with it against a defense that is last in DVOA and one of the worst passing defenses that's in the NFL. I understand they're playing better, but come on. They're not a top 10 defense against the pass.
No. And this is what's so confounding about Jalen because next week he can come out and have the game.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
It's a very confusing player who I think we've been concerned about the passing game pretty much all year. And I'm not quite sure why. I'm also really struggling with the continuation of this act in the first quarter. The I don't understand why Nick Sirianni is scripting the first 2 drives. You won't convince me it's not him.
Mhm.
It's 1,000% him, because all of a sudden you get to the 3rd drive every freaking week and this team scores. Every week. And it's very Sirianni to, "Oh, there's a 12-yard gain on the first play from scrimmage from Saquon Barkley, and now he won't touch the ball the rest of the possession." It's the most freaking Nick Sirianni thing known to man.
Mhm.
I don't know, buddy. It's been infuriating to watch this passing offense with all the weapons that they have, but at the
Well,
end of the day, they clinched a playoff
yeah.
spot today
The
in week 13.
You're right. The most frustrating thing for me is that now it's like getting to everybody else. Now AJ's
Yeah,
annoyed. Now Devontae's
yeah,
annoyed. Now, like,
yeah.
that's the problem. It's
Yep.
not that it's not being efficient. Like, if he was ripping these throws and they were just missing it or whatever, guys could get past that, right? They'd be like, look, we're this close. You know, 1 inch, 1 foot this way or that way, and like we're there. Jalen's making good decisions. He's letting the ball rip. They're frustrated.
Yeah, with right.
And it's like, it's not good. It's not
No.
good. And
No,
and,
and
and
it's
again,
gonna
without knowing what the scheme is and all that, like, you can't make many other conclusions than Jalen is in some weird place right now.
it's hard to know. I mean, it's really tough to know, and I think we just gotta kind of play it out a little bit, and you've got
Yeah.
a team you can throw on a little bit next week, and then 3 weeks where, again, teams you can throw on. But going into the playoffs, they're gonna have to find that they're gonna have to find that passing game, because you're not gonna be able to just run it.
Yep.
Teams are gonna do what they have to do to stop it. I don't care how good you're off. Um, but again, clinched, one of 4 teams to have clinched a playoff spot, leaving the weekend. That's a good thing, right? We already know we're in the playoffs. That's about as good as it gets in week 13, Regs.
Mm-hmm.
Now it comes down to the 1 seed or the 2 seed as we go down the stretch. I don't foresee them falling out of either of those spots. So here's where they're at. They have 4 games left. The Lions have 4 games left, and we have to mention the Vikings with their 4 games left, because they're also within striking distance of the 1 seed. So let's talk about the scenarios. In any case, it feels like the Eagles have to win out. They have to win out to get the 1 seed. Just because of what the Lions did this past week
Mm-hmm.
by winning. There was probably a chance that, they could lose another game going away here if the Lions lost on Thursday night, but they won. Ergo is what it is. The Pitts home against Pittsburgh, at Washington, home against Dallas, home against the Giants. That's what the Eagles have left. That's a very winnable four games. Very winnable 4 games. Especially if you beat the Steelers next Sunday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
If you do that, you're looking pretty good down the stretch here. Let's take a look at what's left for the Lions. Buffalo in Detroit. Buffalo went to I think the best thing that could happen for the Eagles was Buffalo losing today,
Yeah.
because they need a win now next week, and Josh Allen's going to play out of his freaking mind.
I mean, he did
So
tonight too. Jesus.
he did, but Jared Goff's not Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Like that, and Puka. Well, I shouldn't say that. That Lions offense has been out of control this year. That's not fair. I take that back. That's not a fair statement. They've been very good. So yes, it is. It's very similar. But Buffalo needs that game.
Yeah.
So that's important. Then they go to Chicago on the 22nd. Freezing cold weather. barely beat Chicago at home on Thanksgiving Day. So something to keep an eye on. Go to San Francisco. San Francisco is still going to be playing for a wild card spot at that point, especially after their win today. And then Minnesota in week 18. Now, Minnesota, Regs, Minnesota needs to lose one more game. If they can lose one more game, the Eagles are in good shape. Here's who they have left. Chicago at home, that'll be a win. At Seattle. That's
Yep. Tougher for sure.
That's a little tougher going across the country this time of year. Seattle's not an easy place to play. It's going to be outdoor. Minnesota loves to be inside. So that's the possible loss. Green Bay goes to Minnesota. So that is another
Tough
scenario.
game.
So what the Eagles could use here is a Buffalo win next week and then Seattle win the week after, because that leaves 3 games for Detroit to lose. And one of those could be that Vikings game in week 18. And they would only need to lose one of those 3 games. Buffalo, they need Buffalo to win.
Yeah.
If they beat Buffalo, I think it's over. I think the 1 seed's out of the question.
Yeah.
And then you have to have a real conversation about weeks 17 and week 18. If you are locked in to the 2 seed, then in my head, guys need to be sitting week 17 and 18. And not everybody at once.
No, sure.
But like, you need to, because you can't sit everybody at once. It's not, guys have to play.
Right.
But like Saquon probably wouldn't play an entire one of those games.
Yeah.
Like, he'd probably play week 17. He would not play week 18.
Yeah.
Jalen wouldn't play in week 18.
Jalen
Quinyon wouldn't play week 18. Jalen Carter's not playing.
Rest.
Right. Jalen Carter's not playing week 18. And he wouldn't play the second half of week 17.
Yeah.
Like, if you are locked into the 2 seed, none of these guys are playing. They're just not. Lane's not playing.
Yeah.
Mailata's not playing. You're going to have to play certain guys. Steen can play, one of the positions. Like, I'm using Will Shipley like crazy. AJ's not on.
Yeah.
Zach Bond's not on the field. Like, there are going to be certain guys that just aren't going to be out there. And I'm telling other guys to take it easy.
Yep.
I think, obviously if it comes down to week 18 and a Minnesota win gets you the 1 seed, then yeah, you're putting everybody, you have to win, and Minnesota has putting everybody out there until it's out of the question. The issue then becomes, if you do that and you don't get it, then you don't have a bye.
Right.
And you're going right to the postseason with no bye. And you haven't had your bye since week 5.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of me that is like, we need that Buffalo win in the worst way. And obviously the Eagles need to win next week. If the Eagles win next week with a Buffalo win, I feel really good about them getting the only caveat to the 1 seed, and I kind of want your thoughts on this here, is you could end up getting the Packers in the division round, versus if you are the 2 seed, you get either the NFC West or NFC South winner in the divisional round.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to beat, like, you're probably gonna have to beat either the Bucks coming up north, of course, or the Commanders in the first round, which I feel like the Eagles can and would do.
Mm-hmm.
And then you would get either the Seahawks in Philly or like the Falcons in Philly.
Yeah.
Which I think now we beat the Falcons.
Yeah,
badly.
for sure.
So maybe the 2 seeds, right? Like, maybe the 2 seeds where you want to be. I don't know if I want to do Packers coming into Philly in the divisional round, because that Packers team's playing really well right now.
Yeah, I think I'm completely on the side of, I am fine with the 2 seed. I need guys to get rest. I need Jalen Carter to have a game off his feet. He's been playing a ton of snaps for 4 or 5 weeks in a row. That guy, like, we need that guy healthy and ready to go. You need AJ and Devontae healthy. You need, I mean, Zach Bourne hasn't really had any injuries, but like even CJ or Reed or Sidney, like, I know Sidney Brown would play if he's healthy, if other guys are out. But Reed, CJ, GJ, Slay even got a little banged up in this game. You need guys as healthy as possible going into this. And if all it takes is just being the 2 seed, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Because I think you can manage guys. I know you're not getting a full bye, but if you manage it correctly, guys will have time off their feet. And I think that's important if you know the bye is not a possibility. I'm not, ever blah, blah, blah. You don't want to fight, or these guys, will be okay getting the 2 seed. Like, whatever, man. It's like you just said, it might be better. I just need guys as healthy as possible. And there are guys on this team that need some rest. There are. It was a very early bye week, and we talked about this. We talked about how early it was, how it was going to affect possibly how they are at the end of the season. Guys need some rest to be their best possible selves in the playoffs when it matters. If the only consequence is that you're the 2 seed and not the 1 seed, whatever. I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. And I think if you get into week 17 and that's the case, then you give a couple of guys that week off.
Yes.
And then the next week you give some other guys, I do believe it'll be important to have like Jalen play like a drive or two in both of those games, just to, stay fresh. But I don't know, man, there is part of me that believes they still end up with the 1. And we're sitting home relaxing in the wild card round. I really believe Buffalo's winning next week, and then all you need is one of 3 teams to win coming out of that week. And they truly, Detroit could lose any of those next 3 games. They could lose at Chicago, they could lose at San Francisco, and they could lose at home Minnesota, who that game could be for the division.
Yeah.
That game could be for the division. So there's a chance where, maybe the Eagles go into week 18 and they have it. And that would be the most ideal of situations. It's going to be tough to go into week 18 knowing you have it. You might have to go week 18 win that game.
Yeah.
But the Giants are also not going to be there trying to win at that point.
Right.
They're not, because they're going to be playing for the number 1 pick. So it's going to be a fun few weeks. I think, win next week and you're on your way to winning out if you need to. If you need to.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. I agree with you though. If the 2 seed is the 2 seed, and that you're locked into it, start sitting guys and give these guys a week off. I think it's really important that they that everybody kind of sees some time just not playing for a week, just get off their feet. Give them their own bye week, no practice. Just that everybody's going to need it. It's going to be really important. Also helps that they're not traveling.
Yeah.
They're not traveling. So, all right, well, we will see. All of that, we will be back on Thursday. We will talk winter meetings. We will preview Steelers Eagles. The Battle of Pennsylvania is upon us. So we'll talk about that. And maybe we'll have some more reflections on Juan Soto.
Maybe.
I don't know. But he is a New York Met, ladies and gentlemen. What a selfish, greedy SOB. My gosh. What happened there? But anyway, take care of yourselves. Go ahead and follow us. Click subscribe on the YouTube. Follow us wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on social media. I will just be refreshing social media all week. So as things get announced, follow me. Get me at the Mic Drop 5 on Twitter, at the Fixated Pod, at Big Raggers with a Z. Hit us up on Facebook at the Fixated fan page, and on TikTok at the Fixated Pod. Merchandise link is in the show description. We will catch you all on Thursday. Thank you so much for listening. and we will talk to you then. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. We love you guys. Juan, can't wait to see you at Citizens Bank. You'll hear from us. Don't worry. Go Birds.
We love you all. Fuck the Mets.
Oh, my God. Deep to right field. Way up there and way out of here.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.